The World Expo in Shanghai has become a showcase for Chinese modernity and economic might. This sculpture by artist Yan Ping, outside the Chinese pavilion, symbolizes how China's past, present and future weave together. And judging from the skyline of Shanghai, there is little doubt where the country's priorities seem to lie. Just a few miles away, a traditional tea ceremony in the town of Cicheng brings together three heritage heroes. They all come from very different backgrounds. Wan Yung, a prolific publisher and expert on traditional arts and crafts.
This whole area is the cradle of the rice culture.
Ji Ping, a design professor intent on using her subject to improve living conditions for all.
Tao resides in the daily object that people would use every day.
And Shan Li Kun, a woman on a mission of preservation.
This wall is a compilation of our past memory.
Together, they have managed to blend the old and the new in the search for the answers on how to build a better future for their country. The world's longest suspension bridge over open water opened for business in 2008, linking the cities of Shanghai and Ningbo in China's southeastern coast. Travel between these two cities was drastically reduced, and as a result, the region witnessed an extraordinary economic boom, even by China's standards. Ningbo is home to the largest industrial special zones in China. Its per capita income is 3 times the national average, and its port is now the second busiest cargo facility in the world.
We estimate that within the next 5 to 10 years, Cicheng will be absorbed by the city of Ningbo.
As trains laden with industrial goods travel out of Ningbo, they soon pass through Cicheng, a small town just a few miles away that is 2,400 years old. Surrounded by sacred mountains and bodies of water, Cicheng is considered to have great qi, an aura of well-being according to the ancient Chinese concept of feng shui, and it has become today's best preserved old town in China, south of the Yangtze River.
When facing such rampant development, the only way the town will survive is by adapting to a sense of contemporary spirit. You cannot destroy its past, and it's very important to maintain its lineage and its historical continuity. That starts from the Ming Dynasty, leading to the creation of the Republic until the present. That is the only way that you can ensure the town's future.
Mr. Yen runs the Cicheng Development Corporation, a joint operation between the local government and property developers created in order to save the town from a predictable economic boom that would ensue. The town gained national significance by producing 519 imperial scholars, quite a feat in ancient China. Intellectual literati not only gave it national notoriety, but also transformed it architecturally, its grand houses reflecting the status of its resident scholars. Shan Li Kun, the corporation's vice manager, is responsible for giving the town a new lease of life.
From the late Ming and Qing dynasty, this house was the home of a family that scored very high in national examinations and produced 3 generations of government officials. It shows the strong academic traditions of this town. When our studies determine the house a cultural heritage, we relocate the residents to the new part of town and restore the house in order to give it a new public use. If the house is of a lesser architectural value, we still restore it and then allow the residents to come back to reside in it once again.
These lifelike wax figures pay tribute to the town's scholarly heritage, but the work of our heroes to ensure Cicheng's survival is a strategy that relies on moving forward rather than remaining stuck in time.
In the past, the wealthy would build with high-quality materials, and the commoners would gather the leftover material from the construction to build their own walls. This is a centuries-old recycling technique, very applicable today as we strive for a low-carbon economy. It is extremely difficult to create a flat, even wall with scraps of uneven material. But today in Xicheng, there are many craftsmen who still know how to build these walls.
The restoration of this imperial scholars' residence from the Qin dynasty using local craftsmen's skills is only the starting point of this renovation project.
Here in Sicheng, we look at the traditional culture and traditional industry as a means to reviving the town's cultural DNA. At the same time, we invite new designers and new industry to build upon the old, so there is a linkage between its future and its past. This way, we can live in harmony and make sure that the old is not destroyed by tourism and modern industrialization.
The greatest thing about Xicheng is the preservation of its traditional handicrafts, because that is part of its heritage. These traditions are easily destroyed if all towns only focus on becoming tourist attractions. The key to Xicheng's flourishing future lies in the fact that both the cultural traditions and the buildings are being preserved. The rice cake tradition is extremely important here because this region is the country's rice cradle. This rice fed the Humudu civilization, which domesticated the crop 7,000 years ago.
The preservation of Xicheng has a crucial human element. Traditional crafts like the production of tofu and its famous rice cakes are encouraged. The town has become a living celebration of Chinese heritage.
The process of making these rice cakes is very special. These rice cakes are known throughout the country for not being too hard nor too sticky. They're just right. This is due in part because they're only made with the last crop of rice of the year. This traditional handmade process produces a very healthy food. It is good for the body, a great energy source, and it's environmentally friendly. This millennial tradition has the potential to help nourish future generations.
Wang Yung-sung is a scholar who has published hundreds of books about Chinese craftsmanship. In Xicheng, he oversees every aspect of the restoration and revitalization project. He is the curator of the Mother's Art Museum, established by the corporation to highlight the artistry found in everyday objects, from children's toys to handmade textiles.
A single piece of thread in a loving mother's hand becomes the clothing that keeps her children warm. A piece of cotton becomes a piece of thread, which then transforms itself into a textile. The vertical loom is the most demanding part of the process. Only the most experienced lady of the village can place the vertical threads. The next step is on the horizontal loom. Every 10 threads make a single color, and you may have up to 700 threads that intersect with each other to make the pattern. This is the stencil, which is hand-carved by each craftsman. The craftsman makes a paste out of soybean and lime. This paste is then applied on the stencil carvings. Once the textile is covered with the paste, it is submerged in this blue dye. The dye is made from a grass called langding. The grass stem lends its blue color, and its root has medicinal properties. This dye is alive because it has live enzymes and live yeast. It is used as a cold remedy and boosts the immune system. So when you wear the textile, it makes you stronger against viruses and also acts as a repellent against bugs. Once it dries, you scrape away the paste, and then the designs start to emerge.
For Mr. Wang, a traditional rice paddy dress holds the clues to the future based on the lessons from the past.
There are many lessons to learn from this dress design. It is a reflection of nature. The patches create an aerial view of the rice paddies. The variety of different textiles used to make a whole ties into the idea of conservation and recycling. This dress reuses waste material to create a new design concept with a strong sense of identity. Each piece is unique instead of mass-produced. This centuries-old technique serves as a great source of inspiration for new designers.
The groundbreaking aspects of this particular heritage project have caught the attention of cutting-edge global design firms such as IDEO in neighboring Shanghai.
The interesting thing about the Chicheng is that you can talk a lot about these kind of things like preservation and preserving culture and crafts and all of that. And you really don't understand the significance of it until you're actually in the city itself. The whole spirit of it, to be surrounded by the old city itself and to actually see the evidence of the work of the people who have made and invented and created all of these handicrafts is really very inspiring to people who are really interested in human stories and to people who are very creative. Because fundamentally, you know, the creative class right now, the work that I do, it's really a very select group of people that designs very specific things for the general public. Whereas this is from the other side of the picture. This is creativity from the general public and is reflected back and has become part and parcel and stitched into the fabric of the Chinese culture.
Cutting-edge design is now playing a role in Cicheng. One of the finest teas in China is produced in the hills surrounding the town. Tea pickers are often subject to stained fingertips, arthritic hands, and an intense back pain. Now, design students have been brought to Cicheng to try a new tool for tea pickers with great success. A design exhibition in town has become the stage for these new designs, created using local materials and inspired by the needs of rural communities. This water-powered clothes washer, for example, offers much welcome relief to the local women's backs.
We just using the hydropower to run this water machine. We're using the bamboo, it's a local material in some rural area, and we're using some abandoned bicycles using these two wheels. And here we're using some ABS to make this.
We look at what's happening on the interior of China these days. A lot of migrant workers have left their hometown. The world's largest disparity of high and low income differences. And a lot of older people, senior citizens, are left behind in the villages. So we're looking at the traditional way of preserving, of designing those tools and learn from the tools and then redesign and pay attention to the senior citizens and to the old and the young that are still residing in the rural part of the country.
Yi Bing, a teacher in the Shanghai Visual Arts Institute, set up the exhibit and has played a key role in blending the old with the new, creating a viable future for this heritage project. Her students are now field testing the results of her design program, which aims at improving the conditions of rural Chinese and has found in Cicheng the symbol for this new design strategy.
Industrial design should be designing objects and services that serve the majority of the population.
For over 6,000 years, Chinese farmers have used bamboo poles balanced on their shoulders to carry things. A simple design idea provides relief for elderly farmers left to tend the rural plots.
By evenly distributing the weight on both shoulders, the farmers can now walk with a straight back.
For 2,000 years, the humble wheelbarrow has been the workhorse for poor Chinese rural farmers. A simple adjustment in design, providing lighter materials, a stabilizing wheel, and higher handles, means that it is now much easier to negotiate rice paddies while transporting goods.
I used to think that design was a purely economic and marketing decision, with the sole purpose of making more money. But now I see the social value of design. I think that design should be sustainable and should improve the lives of the majority. I have now decided that my design career will be geared towards socially conscious and sustainable designs.
These design students came up with a three-dimensional agricultural model. Most rural Chinese work very small plots of land. By planting in these pyramids, they can double the surface area available for crops.
Suddenly you have the social awareness. Suddenly there is a link, through their research, out there visiting the rural families, and I asked them to stay the night, in the rural family. And suddenly there was they see a connection that through the design skills that they learned in school, suddenly they feel that there is this possibility of designing for the low income, that it could actually improve people's lives.
Now it is not only Yiping students, but many new young designers from design centers such as Beijing and Shanghai who are drawn to the ancient city to set up shop.
I am a designer. I know about design, but I don't know how to weave a bamboo. There are plenty of creative design studios in Beijing or Shanghai. However, they might have more resources, but in Cichenglong, you find industry-specific craftsmen. I mean, I know about design, but I do not know how to weave a bamboo basket. I don't have the traditional skill in my background. So here I can work with local craftsmen, and they can teach me in bamboo, ceramics, woodwork. It is a big advantage to have that available here.
As another day dawns, our heroes continue to strive in this extraordinary example of how heritage preservation can inspire futuristic design solutions and maintain an ancient cultural tradition alive and well. Residents and tourists now flock to Cicheng to take part in the arts and crafts workshops held in town regularly. Mr. Wang believes crafts like paper cutting and the traditional art of knotting can prepare a new generation for the future.
Everything is based on handicrafts. Without them, there is no light industry, and with no light industry, there is no heavy industry. No matter how advanced the society, handicrafts are always a fundamental part of the culture. In the art of making knots, we find the cultural DNA of Chinese society. Every knot starts in the middle and is made of a single piece of thread. The winding of the rope makes all kinds of shapes, such as a butterfly, but the pattern of the knot and its structure is always symmetrical. It is a reflection of the midway path of Confucius. You must always go through the center and never go to extremes.